former Eagles offensive lineman, of course, played for the Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm sure, Barrett, when you watch a game like that yesterday, if you're an offensive lineman, you're probably just as unhappy as guys like LeGarrette Blount after that game. You're probably saying, why isn't the coach letting us do our thing?
Right, and that's the big thing right there. I keep listening to Coach Peterson's press conferences, and I'm thinking, all right, who is he, pointing these questions towards? Who's keeping him from running the ball? Who's talking in his ear saying, don't run the ball? And then I come to the same conclusion. It's him. He doesn't want to run the ball. He said it. He wants to put the ball in the best hands he has, and that's going out and throwing it to Alshon, Smith, Nelson Aguilar, and Ertz. He'd rather do that rather than going out and running the ball and establishing a run. So that's basically what it's all about.
Yeah, so let me ask you. I think when you watch the offensive line, is it a unit that is struggling right now? Is it a guy? Is it maybe two guys? I mean, how do you surmise the deficiencies on that line? Is it a five-man problem? Is it a one-man problem? Is it a couple of guys? How do you look at it?
It's a one-man problem. That's basically what it is, a one-man problem.
And that guy is?
Coach Peterson.
Well, you don't think there's a guy on the line that is part of the problem too?
No.
Okay.
No. It's not the vogue thing to do, and that's the problem. Everybody wants to pass the ball. Everybody wants to go in the air. Stop it. You want to win games, run the ball. You're not going to have instant success. You're going to run the ball. Sometimes it might be a gain of 1 yard, a gain of 2 yards. But it's a hell of a lot better than going out there and it being first and 10. Second and 10. Second and 13 from a sack. You're just not putting your guys in the best position. Anytime you pass it over 50 times a game on a second-year quarterback, it's just a bad thing. There's nothing going to become good from that. I honestly think that you just don't put the effort to run the rock. 13 times is not near enough. They weren't behind in the game. You just didn't throw the ball. That's it. Period, point blank. You didn't run the ball. You didn't run it enough. You threw the ball. That's what you wanted to do. It's not a thing where, you could pass blame to anybody else. Okay, you might have a bad run play here or there, but if you establish the run, get the ball in between those tackles and run the rock sometimes, it'll take the ball, keep the ball out of Smith's hands. He wouldn't have had the ball as long as he did. That's less opportunity for him to score. Keep their offense off the field. If you don't run the ball, it leads to things which you don't like, and that's losing.
Hey, Barrett, I think what Mike was driving towards there, and I think a lot of people are noticing today or talking about today, Isaac Seumalo really struggled. Of the 6 sacks, he probably was responsible for like 3 of them. Would you like to have seen them make a change with Seumalo? I mean, Wisniewski was activated, but I don't remember seeing him on the field.
Well, you know what, he wasn't activated, that's number one. And number two is, you brought this guy in to compete. He competed. And they like Seumalo. They want him to go through the bumps and bruises of being a starter in the NFL. But do you do that to the demise of your quarterback? Do you do that to the demise of your team winning? He had a rough day against Jones yesterday. I mean, there was a lot of things that happened that, were a direct response of him not playing well. His shoulders weren't square in the run game. He got beat on pass plays. And they game planned that specifically for him. He had a rough day because Kansas City wanted to make him have a rough day. They singled him up against some really good pass rushers in Ford and Houston a lot of the times. You would think that Ford and Houston be out there rushing on the tackles. No, they game planned it where they had the defensive end rush up the field and then brought that linebacker inside, knowing the pass plays for the Eagles and understanding how to pick up advantages in those pass plays. They rushed the defensive end up the field. That means the backer looped underneath, and that meant he was one-on-one against a guard, Seumalo. And the guy won instead of Seumalo won. Houston won and Ford won. He gave us some sacks because he physically wasn't capable of blocking the guys that were in front of him.
Well, and that's where, I know. See, to me, he's out of place, right? I mean, you watch him, Barrett. You were one of them guys that was a utility guy. You played up and down the line. Not everybody is made out for that. It seems to me his footwork and his hand placement is not a natural left guard.
No, he's not. He is a center. And what they center, you have help 9 times out of 10. It gives him the ability to block with some help. And he's pretty good when you put him in a better position. He's just not a guard. And I've been saying this from the beginning of the season. We need to put Chance Womack in. I told you guys earlier in camp.
You did.
We need to put Chance Womack in. He's a better player. At this point, he is a guard. Seumalo, he will be a good center, but they don't want him to play center yet. He's not going to play in front of Kelsey. And nor should he play in front of Kelsey right now. Kelsey's a better player at this point. Kelsey's having a pretty good year, so – okay, you want this rookie to go out there and get the bumps and bruises, but do you allow him to also let your quarterback have those bumps and bruises?
Yeah, it seems that they're being stubborn a little bit with Seumalo, because do you think it was a fair competition in training camp? Because I remember you saying Womack should be the left guard on this team. He had been a left guard in college. He had Stoutland. It was his offensive line coach at Alabama. He had played right guard when he was with Tennessee, and that seemed to be, not his natural position, but back at left that he looked much better. So do you think the Eagles legitimately gave it a fair competition in training camp? Was Seumalo the best left guard at camp?
No, absolutely not. He was not the best guard. I told you. And to be very, very honest, Wisniewski was probably better than him also, but Chance was definitely better than him. And it's not like he's not going to be good when he gets to this natural position. The kid goes out and he battles and he tries to play hard, but he's just not physically capable at this point to be a good guard. You have good guards on the team right now. Give him an opportunity to play. All right, if you don't want to put Chance Womack in there, put Wisniewski in there. Put somebody in there that compete, give this offense a legitimate shot at winning some offensive plays. I counted there were 8 plays in which Seumalo was a direct reflection of the play being stuffed. That's on pass and run. He gave up 3 sacks by himself. I thought it was 3.5 because it actually was 4 sacks because I think D Ford got a sack on him. Either he was in Ford or Houston got a 1-on-1 sack against him.
Today, Doug Peterson was asked today if he has the talent at running back that he needs. He says yes. Is that a problem? Do they not have good enough backs?
No, it has nothing to do with the backs. You can put any of those backs back there, and all of them will perform. Wouldn't given an opportunity to. Their backs aren't given an opportunity. 13 times. We're talking about the pass to run ratio. I think I had Rob Ellis, one of my co-hosts, Rob Ellis, did the stats. It was like 90-something to 30-something. That's the disparity from run to pass. And that's a terrible stat to have in this league, simply because you're asking a young quarterback, to go out there and throw 50 times in a game. You're not going to get much success from that. Yes, Carson is he can do it, but why ask a guy to do that when you can just run the rock? And like I said, it has nothing to do with them not being able to. You're going to mess up sometimes, but you're going to mess up on pass plays also. Just the law of averages, is going to come that you're going to have some bad plays when you're throwing the ball in the air like that. Stop giving it the chance. Get a ball, hand the ball off, and when you do that, you keep the offense on time. When you keep it on time, you keep it out of the other quarterback's hands. If Smith doesn't have it, he can't go out and make those plays like he did in this game to win the game.
Hey, Barrett, what's your take on Carson Wentz? Are they asking him to do too much? Does maybe Doug believe in him too much? Mike called it like having this new toy that you get on Christmas morning and you just play with that one and forget that you've got a whole other toy box of toys that you can also play with. Is Doug leaning on him too much? It's not that he can't make the plays, but maybe they're asking him to make too many plays?
Right, it is. That's definitely the case. That's way too much to ask a young quarterback to do. Way, way too much. And like I said, Carson is mature enough to handle it. Carson can do it, but why make him do it? I'm not saying that he can't do it. I'm not saying that he's not going to have any success doing it. But what I am saying is why make him do it? You have ample opportunity to run the ball, keep the ball on the ground, keep that clock going, and then win a game as opposed to just not and just abandon the run. I can see if they were down 2 touchdowns, but throughout the course of the game was tight. At the most they were down 3 points going into the fourth quarter. Once you get into the fourth quarter, I can see passing it then, but at that point, you had already thrown the ball almost 40 times in the game anyways. So, it's an excuse for, it's an excuse to us. And, like I said, Doug doesn't have to – he doesn't have to say anything else. He's going to do what he wants to do, anything. But don't say that, all right, he didn't have the opportunity to run, or the circumstances were that he couldn't run, or happenstance, that he had to get. No, that's all a lie. That's not what it was. You wanted to pass the ball, so you passed it. You don't have to answer anybody but yourself. You wanted to pass the ball, and that's what you did. And he said it too. He felt as though he had the best way to win the game. His way was the best way to win the game, and that's to get the ball into his playmakers' hands. And his playmakers are not the running backs. His playmakers are the guys out there on the outside catching the rock.
Yeah, and the numbers bear that out to Alshon Jeffrey. Before we leave the Carson Wentz topic, just did you put that interception on Carson, or do you put that on the line, the one that glanced off the guy's helmet?
Well, I mean, that's a little bit. I mean, that's going to happen. That's what you call really happenstance. That's what that is. You know, the ball just happened to hit the guy, and, you know, he just didn't get it over a guy's head. That's going to happen sometimes. But, you know, it's still the fact that the opportunity happened because he was passing the ball. You know, and that's you know, to me, it doesn't make sense to have an offensive line that you have and not run the ball. It just doesn't make sense. I can see if you were having negative plays. You know, you weren't having negative plays. They were making positive plays out of when given opportunity. You're not going to have a 15-yard run every single time.
I saw the exchange yesterday between the Gov and Seth Joyner, where the Gov was encouraged, and we had a lot of people so far today in the show, Barrett, a lot of Eagles fans out there that are encouraged that the Eagles went out to Kansas City and they were in the game for that long, whereas Seth Joyner was like, but you lost. You know, just kept hammering that point like, but you lost. It was still an L. So are you encouraged by their performance out there or discouraged by the things that cost them the victory?
Well, I'm going to say this. I don't play horseshoes. Almost don't win to me. You know, to me, either you win or you lose. The record counts. If you were in the preseason, yeah, I could see that. But this is the regular season. As an athlete, you never want to lose. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I still have a bad taste in my mouth. My stomach is still turning because we did lose, because we should have won that game. We should have won that game. If you look at it weapon for weapon, if you count down, I think that we have a lot more weapons than they do. We have a tight end like them in Ertz. We have, you know, we have a quarterback that's, you know, very, very comparable to Smith as far as weapons on the outside. You know, I mean, look at Smith. Smith is a guy that, you know, he manages the game very, very well. He managed that game. I think Carson can take it to another level and win a game, you know, as far as receivers. Yeah, they have a speedy receiver, you know, in Hill. But I think Smith can run pretty fast. Torrey Smith can run pretty fast also. There's nobody that's comparable to Alshon. And we do have a tight end in Zach Ertz that's comparable to Kelsey. So if you go, you know, player for player, you know, we're right up there with them. I really think our defense is better than theirs, you know, but you know, it just comes, you know, that's only because the Barrett's gone. And then once we started losing people, it put us in a bad position. But, I mean, a healthy team towards a healthy team, I really think that we are very, very comparable to Big Red's team in Kansas City.
You don't want to take a moral victory out of it. You lost the game, and you're 1-1, but you do feel like going to Kansas City is a tough place to play. I want to ask you, though, about LeGarrette Blount. Now, he got 6 plays yesterday of the 72 snaps. He played 6. Is there a role on this team, or is it not? Is it the right move to not play LeGarrette Blount? Like, are you outraged that he only got 6 snaps?
I am. I am mad because you're not using him. He could be a feature back. I don't want to hear all that. He hitting the hole too slow and all that. Give him an opportunity to go out there and run it. You know, after a while, a 265-pound back will start falling forward for 4 yards. Once that starts happening, now you're, like I said, the offense is on time now. Now it demoralizes the defense. He falls down and gets 5 yards. Now you're looking at 2nd and 5 as opposed to 2nd and 10. You know, and as the game progresses on, use him as a threat from play action. See, people don't understand. Doug does not use play action to give any type of sense that they're trying to run the ball. He's not trying to fool anybody or anything else. When he runs play action, he uses it as his max protection. When you use play action, it keeps an extra running back in and keeps a couple of tight ends in. They stay there as blockers, and then the guys on the outside have to win and get deep. That's what he uses to get the deep balls thrown. He doesn't use regular max protection. He uses play action protection. And that's all it is. He's not trying to fool anybody on his play action pass plays. He's not trying to fool the linebackers. He's not trying to bring them up. He's not trying to get in behind them. He's using that for long development plays to get his receivers down the field for big plays. That's the sole purpose of using play action. Unless you go out there and start running the ball, That's exactly what it is. It's their max protection. That's what they use for their max protection. When they start running the rock, then it'll be more of a play action type of sense. But it's not that way right now.
No, it's not. And, it's a tough spot for Carson Wentz to be in because I kind of, on Pete's question, I said it before, Barrett, that it's almost like Doug has got this, it's like he is in an orphanage and they dropped off the most expensive toy you could find. And he's like, oh, my God, look at this toy. And he just doesn't want to put it. He's so enamored by this toy that he just keeps using it and using it and using it because he knows once he never has a chance, he'll never get a chance to get that toy ever again. So he just keeps using it. And it's tough because I feel bad for Carson because it's not that he can't. He has the talent and he has the skill set to do some of the things that they're asking him, but they're just asking him to do too much. And that's where you get concerned that, down the road, he's making mistakes, not based on the fact that he's not very good. It's just based on the fact that the other team kind of knows. Like when you're an offensive lineman and you're in a game where your coach is just game planning to throw, how much more difficult is that on the lineman when the other team knows you're throwing it 80% of the time?
They're going to pin their ears back. When the team goes in and plays against the Eagles, they're saying, all right, it's my turn. I'm next. I'm up next. All we're going to have to worry about is pass rushing. That's all we're going to do. We're going to pin our ears back and rush the pass rusher. They probably changed their stances, from teams that want to just, make sure they want to secure the run first. They get more of an even stance. But when they play against the Eagles, they get in their track stances. They want to get up the field and make plays around the quarterback, and that's what they do. You're going to have a long day. It'll be a long game when you're going to throw the ball 80% of the time. It's just a bad situation putting everybody in, putting Carson in the way where he has to go out there and pass, and he's virtually in a no-win position. But I will say this. He has the physical capabilities to do it because he's shown that he can do it. He hasn't said a word. He's going out there and doing his job. I think he had a pretty good game, as opposed to, what he was faced with. So, I think he's going to continue to throw the ball like he is, and we can talk all we want to do until we get blue in the face. But this is exactly what he wants to do. Coach Peterson wants to throw the ball, so he's going to do it. He's not accountable for anybody. He doesn't have to say anything to anybody. If he says he wants to run the ball all day, I'm not listening to it because he wants to throw it.
Well, we heard it from Andy. We heard it from Andy too. Oh, we got to do a better job, and you're not doing a better job.
Right.
You're not doing a better job. You don't care. All right, Barrett's breakdown, and don't forget to check out Barrett on Eagles postgame live after every Eagles game on Comcast Sportsnet, along with Seth Joyner, Ray Didinger, and Michael Barkan, and of course every Monday with Barrett's breakdown right here on the Sports Bash. All right, BB.
All right.
Eagles-Giants next week,
guys.
pal. Take care.
Thanks, BB.
Can't wait.